There's a moment that comes to most of us, usually in our late 20s or 30s, when we look around at our lives and feel a strange disconnect. We've checked all the boxes society told us to check. Good job, nice apartment, active social media presence, yet something feels fundamentally wrong, like we're wearing clothes that belong to someone else. We find ourselves living what I call a default life, one that happened to us rather than one we consciously chose to create.
Today, we're going to explore something that might be the most important skill you never learned in school: how to become the conscious designer of your own existence. This isn't about manifestation or positive thinking. It's about understanding that you have far more power to shape your reality than you've been led to believe, and learning to use that power intentionally rather than letting life simply happen to you.
Let me tell you about Rachel, a brilliant woman I knew who spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder in finance. She had everything that looked like success from the outside: six-figure salary, corner office, respect from colleagues, a beautiful downtown condo. But every Sunday evening, she would sit in her car outside her office building, sometimes for an hour, trying to summon the energy to face another week. She had achieved someone else's definition of success so completely that she had lost touch with what success even meant to her. The tragedy of Rachel's story isn't that she was unsuccessful, it's that she was successful at living the wrong life. She had become an expert at meeting other people's expectations while remaining a complete stranger to her own deepest desires and values. This is what happens when we confuse adaptation with authenticity, when we become so skilled at fitting into existing molds that we forget we have the power to create our own shape. Most of us fall into this trap because we've never been taught to distinguish between what we genuinely want and what we think we should want. From childhood, we're surrounded by messages about what constitutes a good life, successful career, proper relationship, ideal lifestyle. These messages are so pervasive that they become the background noise of our consciousness, shaping our choices without us even realizing it. We end up living what I call inherited dreams, pursuing goals and lifestyles that we absorbed from our families, our culture, our peer groups, without ever stopping to ask whether these dreams actually align with who we are at our core. Breaking free from default living requires what I think of as an archaeological expedition into your own consciousness. You need to dig beneath the layers of shoulds and expectations to uncover your authentic preferences, values, and aspirations. This process begins with what psychologists call values clarification, identifying the core principles that, when honored in your daily life, create a sense of meaning and fulfillment that goes far beyond temporary pleasure or external validation. But here's where most people get stuck. They think identifying their values is like choosing from a menu. They pick words like family, success, or creativity and assume they're done. Real values clarification is much more nuanced, personal. It requires you to examine your past experiences and identify the moments when you felt most alive, most yourself, most aligned with something larger than your immediate circumstances. These peak experiences are like breadcrumbs, leading you back to your authentic self. Consider David, a software engineer who always assumed he valued stability and financial security because those were the values his immigrant parents had emphasized. But when he did this deeper exploration, he realized that his most fulfilling moments came when he was teaching programming to kids at the local community center. What he actually valued wasn't security in the abstract, but the specific kind of security that comes from knowing you're contributing something meaningful to the world. This distinction completely changed how he approached his career decisions, leading him to eventually start an educational technology company that combined his technical skills with his genuine passion for learning and teaching. Once you've excavated your authentic values and desires, the next step is what I call lifestyle design, consciously creating the conditions that will support and nurture the person you want to become. This is radically different from goal setting, which focuses on achieving specific outcomes. Lifestyle design is about creating an environment, routine, and set of relationships that naturally pull you toward your best self, rather than requiring you to constantly fight against your circumstances. Think of it this way. If you want to become someone who writes regularly, you don't just set a goal to write every day and rely on willpower to make it happen. Instead, you design your physical space to make writing convenient and appealing. Maybe you create a dedicated writing corner with everything you need within reach. You design your schedule to protect your most creative hours for writing, rather than squandering them on email or social media. You design your social environment by connecting with other writers who share your commitment to the craft. You're not trying to force yourself to become a writer through sheer determination. You're creating conditions where becoming a writer is the natural, inevitable result of your daily environment. This approach works because it recognizes a fundamental truth about human behavior. We are deeply influenced by our surroundings, our routines, and our social connections. When these elements are aligned with our authentic goals and values, positive change happens almost effortlessly. When they're misaligned, even our best intentions get overwhelmed by the friction of fighting against our own circumstances. Perhaps the biggest obstacle to conscious life design is what I call approval addiction. The unconscious need to maintain the approval and validation of everyone around us. This becomes particularly challenging when designing an authentic life requires making choices that others don't understand or approve of. When Rachel finally decided to leave her finance job to become a therapist, she faced months of well-meaning but devastating feedback from family and friends who couldn't understand why she would throw away such a successful career. What Rachel discovered, and what everyone who designs an authentic life must learn, is that you cannot live authentically without disappointing some people. This isn't because authentic living requires you to be selfish or inconsiderate, but because authenticity sometimes means making choices that don't fit other people's expectations or comfort zones. The people who truly love and support you will eventually come to understand and celebrate your authentic choices, even if they initially feel confused or concerned. The people who can't accept your authentic self are revealing that their connection to you was conditional on you remaining someone you're not. This doesn't mean you should disregard everyone else's input or make major life changes without considering their impact on people you care about. It means learning to distinguish between feedback that helps you become more yourself and feedback that pressures you to remain someone else's version of who you should be. The former deserves serious consideration. The latter deserves compassionate but firm boundaries. The most sophisticated life design is worthless unless it translates into daily actions that move you toward your authentic vision. This requires developing what I call micro-alignment, the ability to make countless small choices throughout your day that either support or undermine your larger design. These choices might seem insignificant in isolation, but they compound over time to create the texture and direction of your entire life. If you've designed a life that prioritizes deep relationships and meaningful connection, micro-alignment might mean choosing to have a real conversation with a neighbor instead of scrolling through your phone while waiting for the elevator. If you've designed a life that prioritizes creative expression, it might mean carrying a notebook to capture ideas that occur to you throughout the day, or choosing to spend your lunch break sketching instead of browsing social media. The key is developing awareness of these choice points and the confidence to make decisions based on your authentic design, rather than whatever feels easiest or most familiar in the moment. This requires practice, patience, and self-compassion, because you'll inevitably make choices that don't align with your design. The goal isn't perfection. It's increasing alignment over time through conscious, repeated practice. The beautiful truth about conscious life design is that it's never too late to start and never truly finished. Your authentic self isn't a fixed destination you arrive at, but an evolving expression of your deepest values and highest possibilities. As you grow and change, your design can evolve too, always serving as a living bridge between who you are now and who you're becoming. The question isn't whether you have the ability to design your life. You're already doing it, either consciously or unconsciously, either aligned with your authentic self or influenced by external expectations. The question is whether you're ready to take conscious control of that design process and create something that truly fits the unique person you are and the contribution you want to make to the world. Your life is happening right now, in this moment. through every choice you make and every day you live. You have the power to make it a masterpiece of authentic expression rather than a copy of someone else's blueprint. The question is, what will you choose to design? If this message resonated with you and you're ready to start designing a life that actually fits who you are, hit that like button to let me know this content is helping you on your journey. Share this video with someone who might be ready to stop living by default and start living by design. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into creating authentic success and meaningful change in your life. Your authentic self is waiting. It's time to start building.